All right, let's get started here. I welcome you all to our webinar today on Wisys WMS, along with batch management webinar for SAP Business One. So this is a topic that's been brought up quite a bit between some new prospects, customers, as well as our partners, and we want to show you how it relates to using Wisys and how Wisys handles batches as a standard product of Wisys. Batch management uses the native SAP B1 tables and batch tracking within SAP to fulfill those on handheld devices. So let's go through some process flow, and I have a short, just a short PowerPoint to talk to you about, and we'll kind of go through that a little bit. So introducing myself, my name is Aaron Armendariz. I'm a senior sales consultant here with Wisys. I've been helping customers for the past 6 years, help them in the warehouse any way possible. Joining me today, and he's going to be the moderator of our questions. So if you have a question, you could throw it in the chat here and we can answer that as we go along. Chase Linsenbigler is in Wisys Business Development. He's also helps out and organizes our partner enablement series. So this is very important to us, helping our partners become more efficient, and Chase is on the line to help us with that today. So any questions, please, again, feel free to put that down in the chat. Chase will be monitoring that, and hopefully we can answer those as we go along here today. You know, why is batch tracking important? That's the reason you guys joined the webinar. That's the reason we're here to talk about how Wisys handles that. The things I want you to remember is 3 things: validation, visibility, and velocity. Using a warehouse management system like Wisys will allow you to validate the information in batches, in items, in sales, validate that against real data. So we're going to be using the native database today. Wisys integrates into SAP Business One. So we're not going to have 3 different points of truth. We're going to use that main database, our ERP solution, to find the real information. And I'm going to show you how doing those transactions on the handheld are going to give you better visibility. So we're going to have clear visibility in those actions and those transactions today. And what we ultimately want to do at the end of the day is speed up, create velocity, and make things faster for those of us in the warehouse and also those administering the ERP and reporting on things. So batch tracking is important in many different ways. So we're going to get through that, and we're going to show you today our batch builder solution in Wisys to allow you to build batch structures for your batching convention, naming conventions. We're going to do those inventory transactions. I'm really going to take you through a buy it, make it, ship it. So we're going to try to hit all aspects of batch tracking. I'll show you a little bit of the label printing and how we print labels using our label design software with batch information on that. And we're going to take you through that production process using batch tracked items, and then obviously creating a batch tracked finished goods. So we're going to go through that all the way through the sales order delivery, and we're going to use our Agility shipping product to accomplish that. And we'll kind of close it off with using our Agility Explorer desktop licensing, so you give that visibility, making good decisions, and we'll show you some of that relationship with the B1 database, with B1 reporting that you guys all might be familiar with. The nice thing is you don't have to go in different areas, right? So we're going to talk about a bunch of things with batches. You're going to hear keywords. So whether you're a customer of ours or a partner that has customers or prospects that are looking at batch track, you're going to get those buzzwords. You're going to get some words that are going to kind of to launch into a conversation that you need, and Wisys can be a part of that. But here are her 5 reasons that I've kind of brought up to help make you think about these things. So when these prospects or your customers or your vendors ask the questions about batch tracking, why are we doing batch tracking? You know, we ultimately want to trace batches, and batches are going to be a group of items that are created either on a date or a specific product. What we want to do is we want to improve that quality control. So being able to trace a batch, looking at improving that quality is important, or even just regulating that with compliance. So I know whether it's food, food is a big one with the FDA. You need to have batch tracking capabilities to track that information and to do a recall if necessary, and to evaluate goods and to improve on recipes and things like that. Enhance security. not only security, but being able to defend yourself when it comes to litigation, right? Having that data, real-time data in SAP that you can pull up, you can have that defense that you need, or that proper documentation required by state agencies or government agencies. It also helps with customer relationships, right? Customer relations is a number one in any manufacturing distribution company that uses batch, is that I want to realize the information necessary to those customers and improve that relationship. So, not only food, but when you're talking about chemicals and things that have recipes that need to be mixed, those can always be improved on. And they can always be adjusted. Having batch tracking allows me to review that information in real time as well. And obviously, accurate product tracking is what we're going to accomplish today, so you get that clear visibility into tracking batches. A little more background info. I mean, these are the things that we talk about here: improved quality control, tracing defective batches, looking at raw materials, reformulating recipes that might work better with certain batches, or quality is improved by batch. So we want to make sure that we have the information to make those decisions and to actually follow through on that. So here's just a few things you could take a look at too. Some federal agencies, government agencies require a tracking system. So a good reason to have Wisys, not just for inventory management or inventory movements, is to get that improved compliance, right? We want to make sure that we're in compliance with those government agencies. Faster automation, I mean, that's our velocity that we're going to talk about. We're going to automate these processes using barcode scanning through the warehouse to allow you to track and process batch control more effectively and more efficiently and more accurately by scanning barcodes. So as a reminder, some of you may know this and some of you don't, but this is very important as we discuss batches and using the native ERP tables in SAP. We're certified solution. We are certified in both HANA and SQL. We do not do transactions roundabout, shortcuts. We have to validate and certify all of our transactions with the SAP One DI-API infrastructure. So we do have to follow rules, and we are certified in this. We're very proud of our certification that allows us to be a third-party add-on for SAP. So a little overview of what Wisys does in general and how we're going to realize that. The batch tracking is going to happen, and usually what you're used to, if you're a paper-based tracking system, so if you're tracking batches with pen and paper today, usually you have a group of people in the front office that are doing those transactions, writing things down, going through the processes of receiving, issuing batches, expiration dates, things like that in the front office. What we're going to do, and what Wisys does with inventory control and inventory management, is we're going to move those actions using wireless handheld computers, Android-based, out to the warehouse floor. So where those transactions are happening in real time, where you're receiving batched items into your inventory and you're tracking those from receipt all the way out to shipping and delivery. So it's a good overview of showing how that works, but we're going to move that information and do those transactions within the warehouse. All right, so we're going to do some demonstrating of our product on a handheld within SAP Business One and Wisys, and today we're going to make s'mores. It's very a simple recipe. This is a food item. Again, batch tracking isn't limited to only the food industry. There's many industries that Wisys helps out using batch, but I think a very simple way to get the effort across and the point across is creating s'mores. And we're going to receive some raw goods here of the components of a s'more, and then we're going to build a finished good, and we're going to actually sell that finished good, and we're going to track that batch information throughout the whole process. So let's get to it. No further delay. So the first item on our list here is we're going to take a look at the items in our item master. Sorry, I apologize here. We're going to look at our item masters, and we do have those components that you're going to see here. So let's actually take a look at one of the components, marshmallows. And I have that located in a binned warehouse today. Now, binning obviously is a major component of Wisys and a major benefit of putting things in the right location, so you have visibility where things are. But we're going to take a look at the general tab here of marshmallows, and I just want to identify that we track using the item master batches on item, and we're going to use today on every transaction. So we're going to bring in raw good products that are batch tracked, and we're going to bring those in, and we're going to do some inventory lookups and movements so you could see on the warehouse floor that process flow and how things move. So just one of the items I want to show you, it's tracked by batch numbers. So let's actually go into the Wisys Agility Explorer desktop here. And the first thing I want to review, because we're going to deal with batch tracking right from receiving, is in Wisys, we have a batch builder solution. And if I go into my option settings of my Wisys administration desktop, I can see here that I have a serial batch number option here. And what I have created today is I have created a standard batch tracking form that I'm using to populate or create a batch number for an item that I am receiving under this purchase order. And I can modify that. I can create my own string or information of properties that I want to see on a batch. So the items we're receiving today are being received, and I'm going to automatically create that batch information. It doesn't have to be done that way. You can have a batch from the vendor and scan a vendor barcode in and realize that batch from the vendor throughout the process. But today what I want to do is during the two processes I'm going to do, I'm going to receive product and give it a batch number. And I'm doing that using the Wisys batch properties here under the batch creation. This also works with serialized items. And one of our next webinars will be based on serialization. But today we're going to focus on the batch, and this is the same process you have here. So on purchase orders, I'm creating a batch structure of a month, a day, and a year. I can add components or sequence to that. I can even add information from the tables. So under production, when we produce our finished good today, we are going to have a unique batch identifier created through Wisys, and I'm going to have the production order, and I'm going to look up a column and table and look up the production order on that information and attach that to it if necessary. These are obviously things that you can tailor and customize yourself, or you can create your own structure, obviously, of batch creation. And this is included with Wisys, and you can use that for those different processes that would require batch creation. All right, so let's get out of this for a second. And let's go to our handheld in our SAP Business One, and we're going to receive some product. And we're going to receive those batch tracked items for a purchase order that we have. So let's go into a purchase order while we're here. And I got some sales orders that are pulled up, but let's pull up a purchase order. And let's go to one of my purchase orders I have for this product here. So we're gonna receive some raw goods, some raw materials that we need to manufacture with. And we're gonna go to, let's use purchase order 1307. And if you'll notice here, I have 10,000 of these items that we need to receive on a purchase order, and we need to do a goods receipt PO. So we're gonna use the Wisys handheld device, and we're gonna use an application on that device called goods receipt PO. And when I bring that goods receipt PO, we're gonna have our form that populates here. And the first action on this form, and you'll see the blue highlighted field, is gonna be our order status line, right? Our order line. This is where I can either look up an order in the system to receive. So there's that 1307. I can manually type that in, or what I'm going to do today for our presentation is I'm going to be scanning, right? So I'm going to scan that purchase order, and now you may have a receiver document. You might have this information on the order or on the truck or on the product. What you'll see there is that blue highlighted field validated that in real time in SAP that is an open order that we can receive against. It dropped down. If I were to clear that out and actually hit the wrong order number, if I type in the wrong thing, I fat finger it, it's not going to let me continue on the form. So we're validating along the way, but we're following a form process to take away the business decisions or the thought by the warehouse worker to circumvent the system, right? We want them to follow forms. We want them to continue along a process to receive this product and post it. So let me scan that purchase order again, the correct one. And I'm going to scan my first item, Now they may or may not have barcoding from the vendor on there. I can look that up. I could type it in, but in this case, they have barcodes on there. And you'll see I have a default bin set to my dock. So I'm going to receive the product off the truck into my default dock. I have used my serial batch creator to automate the batch creation. And today, for my example, I'm doing it by month, date, and year for this product. So this now will have a batch associated with it. That could be a batch that's on the product from the vendor that you could type in. In today's case, I'm just automatically creating a batch for you. And it tells me I have 10,000 remaining. I can over-receive this product with a warning. I could under-receive half this morning, go to lunch, receive another half later. I'm going to receive all 10,000 of these, right? I'm unloading the truck. I'm going to receive that. I'm going to hit the save button. Let's do the second item. Same case. It's going to validate that, give you a description, the vendor, and also the bin, created the batch of that date, and I'm going to receive 10,000 of these. And then my final item, which is our graham crackers, I'm going to receive that. Again, it has 10,000 remaining. I'm going to receive all 10,000 of those and hit save. Now, just to be sure, I can look up the items and see that there's 0 open quantity remaining on those items. I can see that I've received all the product on that, so I'm ready to hit the post button. Now, with the post button on our Agility WMS solution, when I hit post, it's going to do a composite transaction. What we're doing is we're going to stack up multiple events to happen on the handheld, to print labels, to also post to SAP. So we're going to do multiple things at once. But in this case, it's asking me if I would like to take a picture. So I'm going to take a picture of this product that I bought, and I'm going to grab the chocolate and take a picture of the chocolate. I'll have the marshmallows here, and I'll do the graham crackers as well. So we have pictures in the system that are now going to be tied to that document in SAP. So I'm going to click the checkbox. And it's also asking me as a QA or a receiving person that I want to sign for this, that I have received the amount I've said, and I'm going to sign my name to that line. Click OK. So I've taken pictures, I've signed for the product, and now what it's done is I have told it in that composite transaction to print out labels. So my products didn't have labels on it, but now what I've done is I printed out the item code with a barcode. I've also included the batch information into that label. And you'll see that with each one of the labels for the products, I have batch included on that. Now all the batch is the same because my structure has been built for that date range, but that'll help us further follow this batch through the process. And I can print out 1 or 10,000 of labels, and that'll print directly to a printer. Today I'm printing to screen for visual so you could see it, but usually I'd print that to a local nearby networked label printer. So in just those steps, I received all that product. That order has now, if I go into my purchase order and refresh it, this purchase order is closed, and I go to my relationship map, and I have a goods receipt PO created from that. And if you take a look here, there's my items. I can pay this invoice now, but also here I do have my attachments. So they're attached in here. I have my signature that you'll see come up, right? You'll have the signature, and I do have those attachments as well, pictures I've taken. So imagine anywhere throughout Wisys, if you want to add picture or signature capture, any one of the forms through delivery or through packing, you can add the functionality to do that with our design tools. And we're not going to go through the design tools today. We're going to stick with batch tracking, but understand that through tailoring, our products can be modified to achieve your company's goals and processes. But so I've got some pictures there. I've received some product. Let's take a look through our let's take a look through at some of the views on the handheld, because now we've got some batches that we've attached to our system, and we want to get good visibility here. We want to see some of that batch stuff. So first action I may do is a put away. So now that I've received that product at the dock, and there's my default dock, I can put away that product. So there's that marshmallow, and here's where it asks me the key word here, the batch. I want to track the batch. And I can look up the batches that are available at the dock. So I have 2 batches there, and there's the one we just did. I can select that. I could scan that batch on the product as well, and I can move that to a particular bin in the warehouse. I'd like to move that over to a storage bin, and I'm going to move 10,000 of those over to that storage bin. And all this information, again, is in real time in SAP. I can look up any of this information. We'll go through that reporting process later so you could see those movements and inventory transactions that happen. But that's just one process that can be done on a handheld to achieve that traceability and matching of the batches and confirming and validating that. Let's take a look at a few other options here, which are very good to visibility into the warehouse. I'm going to go into an item view here. This is an item view process application on the handheld that I have exposed, and I'm going to scan that marshmallow item. So I can go anywhere in the warehouse and look at that marshmallow item. I scan that, and it's actually going to give me real inventory levels in the warehouse. It tells me how many I have in stock, how many are committed to orders, and how many are on order that are out in open POs, and how many are available. Now with batch tracking or serialized, this box or this button has lit up on my screen. This is a batch tracked item identified by SAP Business One in the database. And if I click on batch tracking, I can see all the available batches in my system. Now I only have 2 batches of this, and you'll notice when we go through the finished good that we're going to create additional batches, but here are the batches of all the marshmallows in my warehouse today. That's a quick view and an easy way to understand what's available from a handheld device. I can actually go into a bin view, and I could scan that item again, or let's do the chocolate item, and I can see the bins that that's located in. So I get complete visibility from scanning barcodes, scanning batches, and I'm going to show you that here within the batch view. I'm going to scan my graham crackers, and it automatically shows me the available batches on hand within my O5 warehouse. Now, obviously, you could use other warehouses, you could do transfers. I'm going to do a quick bin transfer for you guys to see a bin transfer. So let's go to that up top here. And very easy, a bin transfer. We're going to take our first item, or chocolate. We're going to take it from the production bin, and we're going to take the batch, and I'll look up the batch here. Cancel that. We'll actually scan the batch that I'm going to move. I have 5,000 available in that bin from production to move, and I want to move those to the staging bin because we're going to sell some chocolate by itself. So we're going to move 1,000 in real time, and right that quick, you've moved that product associated with the batch to another location. So now we've received some product, we've put it away, we've moved it around. I have good visibility using a handheld device where items are. I'd like to do a production order now to complete and create that finished good that we're then going to fulfill with the sales order. So Wisys module has production as one of our modules here. You'll see the production. And I'll go to a production order within SAP Business One with a bill of materials, and let's take a look at that. Let's close these items out. And let's go to our production module, and we're going to go to production orders, and we're going to take a look at a production order that I want to use today, and we're going to fulfill that. So we're going to do production order 182 today. And this is a standard production order that's been released. I do have a product associated with it, and here is my bill of materials that's located in that. We're going to make 100 s'mores today using those components that we received, right? I can add those to a sales order, so if I want to produce to a sales order, I can, or a customer. But today what we're going to do is we're going to issue goods using the handheld device. Now this could be any type of Android device. This could be a tablet. This could be a smaller form factor. But let's go into issue production. So we're going to scan that production order 182, and we're going to scan that first item. Again, it's going to ask for the bin, so I'm going to take it from the bin that I put it away to. I'm going to now require the batch, so here's the batch, and I'm going to take 100 of those product, and I'm going to issue that. And again, this is a manual issue. This isn't a backflush, but this is a batch track manual issue. And oh, it can't fall on negative inventory. So what I've done there is, as you add batches and work with batches, you can't go negative with those batches. So I'm going to have to choose the proper bin location in the batch. I can use the SAP Pick and Production Manager to create pick lists to pick things. Right now, I'm just issuing product to a production order. So what we do is we have to clear that out. We have to scan our item again we have to look up the bin where these are located here, and I do need 100 of these. So I'm going to take those from the production bin where they should be. I'm going to grab the proper batch, and I'm going to do 100 of these here. Now I've done that correctly, right? I've grabbed the right amount. It can't fall within the negative. Let's scan the second item, the chocolate. And we're going to look up the bin or scan the bin, but we want to make sure we're consistent with the production bin. And we're going to take the batch available there, 10, 27, 20, 22. And we're going to do 100 of those. And our last item is our graham crackers. And we're going to do that same bin, the production bin. And we're going to take the same batch that's necessary. Obviously, all the batches could be variant from the items that we've received or how we've created our batch structure. I just want to show you the standard process out of the box. We're going to take all 100 of these, and now we've issued those goods. If I click on items here, there's no more remaining. So we have issued all of our goods to production, and now we're going to do a production receipt. So we're going to manufacture these goods, and we're going to take that same production order, and we're going to produce those, and we're going to produce those to an actual bin today. So we're going to produce those to a bin in the warehouse, and you'll see here that that's created a unique identifier to my batch to this item. So in this case, I have the month and the year and a digit on the end here to signify a unique identifier. So I've used my batch builder to create a unique batch for my finished good. And we're going to create all 100 of these. At this time, again, a composite transaction has allowed me to print to screen my label for all 100 of those, and I can identify our product and I can create labels based on my needs. So our label design software, which I'm going to show you next, will allow me to modify and create labels specific to my company's needs. But in this case, I did an item label and a batch label. All right, so we've completed the production. We've produced 100 of those, and let's actually take a look at that product. So let's go back to our distribution tab, and let's just do an item lookup because I want to show you that s'mores item. So if I scan those s'mores items, I click on it. I have 200 in stock. We just completed 100. I have another 100 there, and again, I can see the batches, and those are the 2 batches I've created, and here's that batch here that I've done just now. I can also go into that bin view where I can see bins and where those things are located. So that 100 of those that we just created are now in the A1, S1, L1 bin. We're going to get to a little more visibility once we've completed the process of shipping the product out. What I've done at this time is I've created some sales orders. So let's exit the view. We've created the product. I'm actually going to refresh our production order, and obviously you could see that we've completed that, and I can close that production order and update that. So that production order is completed. That product has been delivered and in stock for use today. So let's go to some sales orders. Now, there are many different ways that people deliver sales orders. As you guys know, each company is a little bit different. Some people will use the pick and production manager. Some people will deliver using sales orders, right? Using the pick and production manager in SAP will allow me to take advantage of expiration dates, first in, first out. It will help me identify products that need to be delivered before an expiration date. You can really tailor the application or tailor the solution to fit your company's process in the picking. So I have some sales orders, and we'll take a look at those because we're going to sell some of this product. We need to make some money, right? Let's actually go to a sales order, and I've already created, so this sales order requires 100 of these s'mores in a single package, and I've already created a pick list for it. So let's take a look at the pick list. So let's view the pick list. All right, so I've created a pick list. I've allocated a batch to that pick, so I'm going to have to go through a directed pick and pick these items. So this pick list for this sales order has been released. So let's go to the handheld device, and let's go into sales order picking. So we're going to pick these items, and we're going to go slow it down a little bit here. We're going to do a directed sales order pick. And a directed sales order pick, it's going to take me, unfortunately, we're only working with one item today, but if I had multiple items and multiple orders on that pick list, it will direct me through the warehouse, the proper path through the bins to pick the items for my orders. But today we just have one order, and I can look those up. So I've been assigned as a person these orders. I could assign it to a group, a specific person, multiple orders to multiple people. But in this case, I've assigned that pick list, picking number 29, order 1233, which is the same sales order we have here today. It's identified and allocated the batch that I'm required to pick. I'm going to scan that item, and I'm going to scan the bin that it's telling me to take it from, which is the staging bin, and I'm going to pick all 100. And you'll see that that order is fully picked using that allocated batch tracked information, right? So let's go into our packing now. We're going to either pack this on the handheld and then take it to our shipping station. We can also pack and ship from the shipping station, but I really want to show handheld packing to show you that relationship with the batch tracking. So we've picked the order, we've moved the product to the staging bin. What we're going to do now is we're going to pack a carton for a shipment, and then we're going to ship this product out. So on the handheld, we're going to pack a shipment. We're going to do a new shipment and a new carton, and I'm going to scan that order, that 1233, that sales order that we just picked, and I'm going to scan the item, and I'm going to scan the bin, and I'm also going to confirm that by scanning the batch. Again, validating throughout the entire process. If I don't do it properly, it will stop me. It'll not allow me to continue on. And I'm going to box 100 of these in a single carton and hit enter. And also, what I've asked it to do from that button is I've asked it to print out my UCC 128 labels or my SSCC labels or a carton label specific to Wisys. But I do have a shipment number here, and there's a shipment number 93, and I printed out the specific labels that I request, and they could be by customer, company, however you choose, or whatever documents your customers require can be printed on a carton at this time. So I've printed out a UCC carton label that's been put on the box of s'mores, and you'll see that shipment number here is shipment 93. So now I'm going to drop that product off at the shipment station, and we're going to go into that real quick. Let's go into our shipping station here, and we're going to use Agility Desktop. Again, this is our Agility Desktop, and we're going to come back to this in a minute. But we're going to go to our Fulfillment Manager, which has our shipping station here, and this is where Agility Shipping integrates with UPS, FedEx, and USPS, as well as truckload or LTL. But remember that shipment number. I'm going to scan that box of that shipment number, and I'm going to bring that up. And you'll see I've created a carton with a unique package label. The s'mores are boxed in there, and I have 100 s'mores in that box. Here's my item description, right? I can even highlight it, and I can see that information. Here's the batch information on that shipment. So I can drill directly in and understand what the serial batch information is. And this is the batch information. I do have an expiration date showing here. And I show the committed quantity and the quantity on hand. So I have more visibility at the shipping station to see and validate and make sure and verify that I'm shipping out the right stuff. But in this case, you see that I've created a carton with the products in the carton, and I have UPS lit up on the screen here. I also do have truckload LTL. In this case, the order has told us to ship this out via UPS ground. This is where we take advantage of the integration of UPS with Agility Shipping and FedEx and USPS, is that I can directly ship from this desktop. I can click on UPS here, and I will have my Agility Shipping screen pop up. I do have my ship to address, but again, taking that information from the package ID, the weights and measures can be brought up from a scale, or the item master has the weights and measures of these products in there. And I have a shipment weight of 37 pounds for this box. I can adjust the service type. So if I'm back ordered and I want to get something out quickly, or we have not sent something out for Amazon 2-day, I can adjust that, or I can lock it down to where the employee doesn't have control over that. But simply what I'm going to press here is this is ready to be shipped, and I can hit the ship button. This is where it reaches the API integration into UPS. What I've told it during that ship process is to print out a packing list for me. I could have the packing list and any information that I need on the packing list print out. Also, it will print out the UPS labels for that one package. So I've created the labels. I do have the tracking information here. If I had to close this, attach this label to the box, put it on the UPS truck, now that inventory is relieved, and we've followed that batch all the way through to shipping. So let me just go show you that sales order real quick. You'll see that that shipment disappears, and I will go back into SAP to give you that relationship. So here's that sales order that we just completed. If I refresh it, that sales order is now closed. If I right click and do a relationship map there, the delivery note is there as well. And if I go to logistics, the UPS tracking information has been populated back into the tracking number section of that delivery note. So now an email can be sent out, communication to your customer can be sent out, and you have now relieved that inventory in SAP Business One using Wisys, from receiving to manufacturing to shipment. I do want to go a little bit deeper though. I'm not done here today. I want to do some, it's great that we understand what batches are and how they help people and where we have benefits, but none of that's good unless we communicate and visibly get that visibility into this information. So as your standard process, because we're using the native B1 database, Wisys is doing the transactions in SAP. The same transactions or the same processes you use for reporting batches are going to be reported normally in SAP. If I'm to right click on this delivery note and I can look at the batch number transaction report, very easily that created good that we have with that batch, I can see that transaction. Now that may not give you the whole view, which is what we're going to show you, but even just doing the all transactions for the selected batch from production to the staging area, picking, allocating that batch can all be traced here. And I can simply do a report within SAP that you might do today before automating processes, not using pen and paper, using computers. But here's a simple batch number transaction report for this one order that we've done. Now I'd like to show you some more things as we go back. You might want to go into that item master of the s'mores, and we'll go look a little bit deeper here. And let's bring that up here. Let's go to my item master real quick. Actually, we can go right from here. And here's a bill of materials. Let's go into that s'mores. And we can do batch information from this batch transaction report of the s'mores, the finished good. And here are the batches that I've created of these finished goods, right? And I can look and drill into each one of these batches and have batch control and see what's been released with what expiration dates. And here's the transactions for that batch. Here's the transactions for that other batch. Now this is all within SAP. Great, well and good. And you can continue using your standard reporting for batch number transactions. Wisys also has in our desktop capabilities for you to see those as well, giving you a deeper view or a deeper look into those questions, right? So most of you may be familiar with the Agility Explorer desktop solution. It's a license separate than a scanning license. We're using this on a desktop. This is going to be our Excel style views or grids of items that we can see. And we have some standard functionality, standard grids. Be mindful that you understand that any of these can be tailored by person, by role, by company. You can see the information that's important to you. But today, I have a couple of grids that I just kind of want to show you to give you that visibility, right? I want to show you deeper look into things. And those items that we just did, s'mores, I can filter to that specific item. So here's 2 batches that I've created from production. I've released some of these and it actually tells me the location and it can identify expiration date. I can sort or I can group. If I want to group by items, I can group by the main group, and I can take I want to group by batch, right? So here are all my batches in the system, right? And I can actually go into those batches and identify information that's important to me based on those batches. So there's my batch that I created yesterday, and here's the batch that I've created today of items we received. And remember the unique batch that I created here today for the s'mores. So I can see if these have been released or open and available. I can realize expiration dates in real time. I can organize items. So we'll take that batch out and we'll organize things by item. And I could see here's my marshmallows, and I can then filter to location here. So let's look at where at the dock. If I need to cross dock something, get something out immediately, I can make good decisions here as well. Now let's take a look at our sales orders. So this will obviously also give you another deeper view here, but we have done some delivery of these sales orders, and I'm filtering out by open sales orders, and I can filter out by customer here, and I can sort and group by customers. So imagine someone in customer service not having SAP, but having the availability to see information about batches when the customer calls. They can search by customer and say, here's my open orders, right? I can highlight that order and it's going to show me the child graph of what's in there. It can tell me important information. I can set that. This order has not been picked. It has not been released to picked, and none have been picked. And I can actually drill into SAP, into that actual item and that bill of materials to see if the actual bill of materials in there. So anytime there's a hyperlink within Wisys Agility Explorer, I can link into that. So I have this open order here, and I can actually click on this open order and see where it's at. Well, this order is closed. So let me go back to that screen. Let's refresh this. You'll see that is no longer, we just shipped that one, so that's no longer an open order. But I do have an open order here for Earthshaker, and I do have s'mores in there, and it just opened directly into that sales order within SAP. Being mindful, though, that I can also see the batch information if necessary. So if I go batch to batch availability, I can actually drill into the batch here and understand where this batch is through the batch details, right? Understanding here's the expiration date. I can do a lot of batch tracking through Wisys and export that to Excel if I want to. I could have different views or grids that show up for my specific role and refresh. So having the availability to see those batches in real time without being in SAP Business One allow me to make better decisions to do more things with batches. So that's mostly what I wanted to show you today. We will be doing a session on serialized information. We will be doing some more future webinars on pallet management, understanding that batches within a pallet can be identified by a single scan using our packaging layer. We do want to get to some of those webinars, but that's everything I want to show you today. If you have any questions, Chase, do you have any questions out there that people are asking about batch tracking at all?
Yeah, we got through a couple of questions. Christian has a question about if there are non-inventory items in the sales order, how they are processed to appear in the delivery note. And that's the only question we have left out there right now.
And did you didn't answer that one, or if that's
No, I didn't answer that one. I personally would have to look into that a little bit, just because that's something I haven't came across for a customer.
Yeah,
I'm fairly uncommon, but
yeah, Christian, we'll take this one offline and we'll get you an answer. This is something obviously that would be a little more specific to our B1 consultants. So I'll find out an answer for you and I'll let you know how that works. Any other questions we could take today? All right. Well, it looks like you all were attentive and I appreciate your time, and hopefully we've given you a small glimpse into how we help people using batch tracking. Again, this is only a small part of what we do. This adds an extra layer to the process of WMS and what we realize using handhelds. But hopefully you've seen the visibility into the data that's important to you during a recall process. If you want to reformulate a product, or if your expiration dates, hopefully you get a better visibility into that. We want to create velocity by barcode scanning, make you more efficient, giving you information that you can believe, right? And that, at the end of the day, for a good return on investment, is to make business decisions based on real data. So I thank you today. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to answer them, and look forward to continued conversations. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.